My name's John Bleakley. I am here at the Heart Foundation. I've had an aortic dissection 5 years ago, which was in February 5 years ago, and then had a re-entry, open heart surgery 6 months after that, again in June. It was about 48 hours before we'd come home from visiting some friends in Rotorua and come back to Auckland, and we were at home, and I think I was carrying the bags in or something like that, and I got quite an uncomfortable feeling in my chest, almost like a very heavy heartburn, and it didn't go away. And I thought, and I'd sat on the bed and I actually started to perspire quite a lot. And I said to my wife, this is just not right. It's not going away and it doesn't feel right. So she rang medical up the road, and they said, if it's a chest issue, we're going to send an ambulance. And I said, I don't think it needs it, but they sent an ambulance anyway. I was taken to the hospital where I was given some x-rays and a blood test for heart attack and a whole of other tests, which didn't include a scan, and I stayed in there for about 12 hours. And at the end of that, they said, you haven't had a heart attack, you've got nothing wrong with you that we can see, I think you've pulled a chest muscle, you can go home. I actually walked out of the hospital, rang my wife and began walking home, thinking, oh, it's a lovely day, I'll walk home. And little did I know what had actually happened. At that stage, there must have been a minor tear in my aorta, which then came to fruition 2 days later when the major tear occurred and I hit the floor. So when I had the main dissection, I was at home on a sunny afternoon. I was actually off work because it was the day after Auckland Anniversary Day, and I'd just done some work in the bathroom at home actually, and was downstairs about to pick up my young son from daycare, and quite out of the blue I had this searing pain in my chest, and I was seated and I stood up to make it more comfortable, and as I stood up I lost consciousness and obviously fell straight onto my face on the floor. At the hospital, I underwent a number of tests, and they found it was an aortic dissection from the scan, and from that point on, that was from North Shore Hospital to Auckland Hospital in an ambulance, prepping me for the emergency surgery. I mean, I was signing bits of paper that I couldn't even read at the time, and 16 hours later I woke with a tube down my throat and a big patch on my chest and staples in there, and with just a box load of questions about what had happened, and I just had no idea what had just happened to me at all. It happened so quickly. I felt absolutely helpless. I was dependent on everybody that walked into that room, family, nursing staff, medical staff. I was completely dependent on them. I was also suffering some side effects where every half an hour I would lose my vision for half an hour. So there's probably 2 points which I can significantly remember, or clearly remember, that were the hardest points for me, which was probably the first 2 weeks after hospital. I was still getting pains and twinges and weird things going on, and every time something happened I would go into a space where I left the room and couldn't talk to anybody, and I was just holding on thinking something was going to happen again, and also not knowing when I was going to get better and what this was going to look like for me. There was a big void for a couple of weeks until my family and I actually made some decisions that I would go and get some specialist help. I would go and get some answers from a specialist of our choice. That made a huge difference. The second time when I remember was a huge an emotional point was while going through those specialist appointments, the specialist did a scan on me, a further scan on me, because they knew, I could tell they knew there was something else that wasn't right. So what had happened is they'd repaired the emergency tear. Couldn't repair all of it, but repaired the piece that would keep me alive. But I still had a significant aneurysm going on at the top of my heart that they couldn't do all at once, obviously, because it would take too long, and they were trying to save my life at that stage. The second one I remember was when I went back to see the specialist. He did the scan, and then he said, come and sit down in the room, and I sat down in the room, and he said, and he brought it up on the screen, and he said, this is where your graft is, and he said, this is the other part here. He says, this is still a serious risk for you. You know, basically indicated to me that we need to go in and repair that as well. From there, I got a lot of answers. I got a lot of support from the specialist, support from family, and I actually went back through that second operation 4.5 months later with a much clearer head and some much better decisions being made about what the future for me was going to be. Through my journey and through a lot of support from people and work giving me time to come back to work and seeing the specialist and managing my return really well, I'm back, well, I've stopped playing again now because of knee injuries and things, but I've been back playing basketball. I've played all sorts of sports. I'm back in the gym. My gym program is completely different to what it used to be, but I'm back in the gym 5 days a week, and running. I've passed my fitness test a number of times at work back in the police. I used to be able to handle a fair bit of stress. Stress around tiredness, stress about pushing your body, more to a wider limit, tiredness-wise and pressure-wise. I can't do that anymore. And it's not that I can't do that because I'm going to fall on the floor. It's I notice that I can't handle that anymore. So I've changed. So I don't take myself. So I take myself out of situations or avoid situations. And it's easy enough to do. And the fact that I've been through this experience, I actually see as a really positive thing because I look at life differently. I look at life, I'm actually appreciative that I've been through something like this because it has slowed me down. It has allowed me to, or given me a shake up to enjoy and experience the small, simple, enjoyable things in life. I was lucky to have great support from my family. My boy was only 2 when it happened. My older boy was 12. There was a big impact on them as well. My sisters took it quite hard, but my wife, it was a big impact on her. One, she nearly lost her husband, but also the struggle of seeing me where I was and my demands day to day to day. I talk about what I felt wasn't there was the need to speak to someone face to face who had been through my experience and who'd come out the other side and was back to their new normal. That's what I really, really wanted to do. That is why I thought I could provide that for somebody else or some other people, and that would help them through their journey back. What you're experiencing, the emotional roller coaster, is the biggest thing. Your body will get better. Your body will physically repair, heal, and get better. But it's emotionally where the biggest challenges are. If I was looking back, some of the things that worked well in my experience was getting some answers from the specialist, really put my mind at ease in the sort of mechanical side of it, if you like, the physical side of it. That put my mind at ease with that. But I would also encourage people to connect with the cardiac classes, with the Heart Foundation support, and any groups or personal connections that they can make with the help of their family, with someone who's been through the same experience, I think is really, really helpful and really valuable.